Alright folks, fix the crack. I hope you are all well and I hope that you are enjoying Pride Month if you are celebrating. I will be celebrating not until towards the end of July. That'll be at Northern Pride in Newcastle. I think they probably have it a little bit later, you know, for the weather. Probably a little bit safer in the UK in July than it is in June, weather-wise. So I've got a bit of a wait, but for now I'm going to be celebrating through the medium of mukbang. So I've got a rainbow of vegetables in front of me. Also got my face done in the form of the Bai flag. So I've got pink eyeshadow, purpley kind of blusher, and I've tried to do freckles as well. It might just look like I've got a skin condition. Also don't know if the camera will pick it up that well. But you'll definitely see my blue lipstick, which I realise isn't probably the best idea for a mukbang, but we'll see how it holds up. So I don't think I've ever mentioned on my channel that I'm bisexual before, so this is me coming out. Don't see a reason to, you know, make a big deal out of it, but yes, those are true facts. So today I'm going to be doing my mukbang and I'll be telling you the story of how I came out to my parents. It ended up being quite a convoluted and funny story towards the end. It's also a story that one of my parents does not know. She doesn't know the whole of it, but my parents don't really watch my mukbangs, so hopefully that will still stay under the radar. But this was many moons ago. I came out when I was a teenager, so hopefully I will be forgiven if they do actually watch it. Anyway, that's enough blethering. Let me tell you what I have got in front of me. So I have got pita bread here. I've got cucumber, celery, yellow pepper, carrots, red pepper, and I've got these fabulous sort of deep pink French breakfast radishes. I've grown these myself. Oh, I thought it was going to roll off there. So I've just plucked those from the pot this morning. Given them a wash and then just cut off the roots that were left, and they're ready to go, they're ready to eat. You can actually eat the leaves. I won't be eating them in this. I'm actually going to save those and use them in a Buddha bowl instead of like spinach, because I have eaten some of them before and I find they were a little bit tough to eat by themselves. Anyway, but I thought I'd keep them on because they look quite pretty and it gives me something to hold on to while I dip. So yeah, they're a bit of a funny shape compared to other radishes. They're quite long, but I thought that would be good for dipping. And they are also quite a pretty colour. They're not quite the right shade of purple for the pride flag, but I'd say they're kind of pinky purple. Obviously, there's not really a blue vegetable. I can't think of a blue vegetable. Certainly not one that you could dip either. So so this is what we've got. And I've forgotten to mention the dips. So here I have got sun-dried tomato hummus. I've made that myself and I'll pop the recipe up for that next week, next Sunday. And I have also got Taramasalata. It's probably a less well-known dip. I've also not made it myself. This is shop bought. I do apologise terribly because most of my stuff I do, you know, make all from scratch. I've never made Taramasalata before. I would like to give it a go one day. It's actually, it's a Greek dip and it's This makes some people a little bit squeamish, but it does taste really, really nice. It's actually made with fish eggs, like you know, like roe, like cod roe or other fish roe. But it doesn't taste particularly fishy, I don't think, but I do enjoy it. I've eaten it since before I knew it was fish eggs, but yeah, it weirds people out when you say it a little bit. Anyway, that's enough blethering and explaining, so let's tuck in. I'm really excited to try one of these French breakfast radishes. Obviously, having grown it myself, I'm excited to see what it tastes like. So let's go in. So I think I have to have my thumbnail with this. So there it is. Mmm. It's a little bit chewy. I think I possibly left it in the ground a little bit too long, because they do go a bit like you know, like fibrous if they stay in there too long. But some of them grew faster than the other ones, so we'll see. It still tastes good. It's chewy. It's nice and peppery. Man, that is so crunchy. It's like definitely crunchy. I've got that lipstick on my fingers now. Next I'm going to have some pita bread. I find that the pita bread goes better with the Taramasalata and the veggies go better with the hummus. Mmm. It's really creamy and it's got like a little bit of a tang to it. You really wouldn't know there's any type of fish in there. Just gonna go around each vegetable. They say it's good for you to eat like a variety of colours. Like you should try and eat a rainbow. Oops. I think the different colours sort of correlate with the different minerals and vitamins that you get. So if you eat a rainbow, you've got a higher chance of eating different vitamins and minerals. So that's why it's good for you. Well, this is a pretty healthy meal. I'm gonna have another radish. When I was, you can't see my face at all from the leaves. I look like I'm in camouflage. Hello. When I was filming that little bit, you know, where I'm pulling them out from the ground, it looked like it was going to rain outside. The sky went all dark, there was loads of clouds. I thought I'm going to have to go out and do it now before it starts tipping it down. And then it didn't rain. And as soon as I was inside and had them washed and everything, the sun came out. Typical British weather. It's got such a good crunch. That would be so good for an ASMR. I love that peppery taste. It's been really rewarding to grow my own vegetables. I'm glad that something is, you know, finally grown. Everything else I'll have to wait a lot longer for. But yeah, radishes grow really quick. It means you can grow them a few times in a year as well. Anyway, sorry, you did not come here to hear about my garden. You've come for food and for LGBT goodness and a funny story. I'm going to move these back here now because they're kind of ruining the rainbow. Can you see them? No, I can't see them. Good. So, I probably knew that I was by around, I think I was probably about 14 or 15. And I kind of, I'd like fancied boys in the past, but then kind of realised that I find women attractive to look at, and just sort of thought to myself, oh, I must be bi, you know, I must like both. And then, you know, obviously at that time I sort of realised that I could have, that, you know, like, I found the female form attractive, but hadn't had any sort of romantic feelings. And then later on I did have romantic feelings for women as well. So 14 or 15 is probably when I realised I was probably bi, and then, you know, later on I confirmed it. But you do get bi people who they do just feel romantically for one or the other, but just physical feelings for one. So even within bisexuality, there's a bit of a, I don't know if whether to say a spectrum, but there's, you know, people are different. We ain't all the same. Oh, I'm choking on my hummus. But I had decided that I wouldn't come out to my parents until such a point in time where I got a girlfriend. But when I got a girlfriend, she didn't want me to come out because she was worried that her parents wouldn't accept it, and we were friends in high school. We're still friends to this day, but we were friends in high school. Our parents knew each other, so she was worried that if my parents knew, then her parents would find out. It was just kind of fair enough, so, you know, I decided that I wouldn't come out at that time. I've got a mirror off to the side here. I'm just checking how my lipstick's doing. It doesn't look terrible yet. You can see when I open my mouth, when I talk, you can see it coming away from the inside. So, we didn't go out for very long, and she broke up with me, and I kind of held it together until I got home. So we'd been out at the time, came home, held it together, and then, you know, the tears started falling. I started crying, and only my sister was in at the time, and, you know, she was trying to console me. My sister knew, partly because she came down the stairs to find us hugging. At least we were only hugging. Yeah, so she already knew. I apologise, I'm a really rambly storyteller, and this isn't sounding particularly funny at the moment. The funny part we'll get to eventually. The humour of it kind of comes from how complex the whole situation was. Anyway, so my dad comes home and finds me, you know, like all puffy red eyes. My mum was away at the time. She was on a break, like she was staying elsewhere. I can't remember where now, but she was away from home at that time. So it was just Dad. And Dad doesn't deal as well with crying as Mum does, as is fairly typical of dads. But he tried his best, bless him. So when he comes in and sees that I've been crying, you know, obviously asks me what's wrong. And I'm like, nothing, it's nothing. And then he, you know, pushes it, says, you know, like, obviously there's something wrong. And then I start crying again, and I'm like, oh, I can't tell you. So obviously, you know, as a dad having a teenage daughter bawling her eyes out, saying that she can't say why she's bawling her eyes out, it's got to be pretty worrying, because I could have been crying about anything. I could have been pregnant, or you know, something really awful could have happened. So eventually, I calmed down, I stopped crying, well, I probably continued crying, but I was less hysterical, and I tell him what's happened. I tell him that I was going out with the girl I was going out with, but we've now broken up. And to be honest, I think my dad was fairly relieved. I think he was surprised, you know, but I think he was relieved that it wasn't something, you know, like really bad. I've just noticed, as usual, I'm doing a really bad job of showing you what I'm eating. I'm so bad at this, I'm sorry. At least I'm closer to the camera than usual. So this is the Taramasalata on the pita bread. There you go. Next time I do a mukbang, I'm going to put a sign up on the wall in front of me saying, show your food. So my dad's response is like good. It was probably, you know, like as good as I would have expected. You know, me coming out to my parents to be. I know, like, neither of my parents were homophobic. my aunt's a lesbian, and they're both, you know, like perfectly accepting of her. Although, you know, there was an element of sort of like not telling other people about it. And I think, well, that would have been in the, well, when they said, you know, not to talk about it, was probably the early 2000s. And I suppose we have come a little bit of a way since then. So although, you know, it was accepted in our family, there's always that risk that it's not going to be accepted by others. So she said, like, not to talk about it too much. My mum about my aunt. So yeah, my dad, you know, basically said, you know, I'll love you no matter who you love, you know, whether they're a man or a woman, or like, or, you know, a different race or whatever. So, so yeah, that was all went well. Obviously, I was still upset about the breakup, but it was as good as it could have gone. Now the bit where things get complicated comes after this. So obviously I've now come out to my dad, but not come out to my mum. And obviously, you know, it's not right that one parent would know and one wouldn't. So kind of broached the subject with my dad. I said, like, you know, I'm going to have to tell mum at some point. But we were having a little bit of a rough time at that point. I think somebody that my mum knew but I didn't know had died. So there was quite a lot of like emotional upheaval for my mum at that time. So we decided that we would hold off for a while before I told her. This was after she came back from the trip that she had been on. Then, as the time got closer to when I decided that I was going to tell her, my dad said, oh, she's not going to like it if I've told him first. I was like, well, you know, I'm sure if we explain the situation, she'd be fine about it, but I thought, right, fine, you know, like, I'll play along to keep everybody happy. I'll pretend to, you know, come out to both of them. So I got to tell my mum. And her response was kind of funny. She was fine about it as well. She was fine about it at the time, but I think she maybe didn't quite understand what bisexual meant, because after a while she started asking had I chosen, as in like had I chosen male or female. I was like, yeah, that way, like, your sexuality isn't a choice. So when you're bisexual, it doesn't mean that you're at some point going to choose one or the other. You know, like, for the rest of my life, unless, you know, something happens where I decide I don't like one of them, I assume I'm going to be bisexual for my entire life. I've been bisexual this long. I can't really foresee anything else happening to change my mind. Anyway, so that's a different story. So at the time, you know, she's totally fine about it. She said, oh, it runs in the family, as in like, you know, with my aunt being a lesbian. So again, that was pretty positive. So this is where things start to get a bit ridiculous. So at this point, both parents know, but one parent thinks the other one doesn't know, when actually that parent you've, you know, a few months beforehand. And instead of just, you know, calling my dad in and him, you know, like reacting to it, you know, pretending to be shocked, my mum says, don't tell your dad, I'll tell your dad. And then come and pretend to tell your dad. So she wanted to tell my dad, who already knew, because she was worried that he was going to be like a bit upset about it or he wouldn't handle it very well. So she said, oh, I'll tell him and then you pretend that you don't know that I told him. You see, like, I'm confused. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I'm confused. So at that point, I had to rush off. I find my dad, and before my mum could see him, say, Mum's gonna tell you, and then I'm gonna pretend to tell you again. And you gotta act surprised. Both times. So it goes ahead. So Dad sits down with Mum. I go off upstairs. Wait. My mum comes and gets me. Says that she's told him, and he's okay about it, which I already knew, but she doesn't know that I knew. So then I come down, say it all again, and yeah, obviously he's fine with it again. I can't actually remember what he said that time, but you know, like words to the same effect. So yeah, as ridiculous as it was, it all worked out in the end. So as silly as it all was, you know, lucky, I do appreciate how lucky I am to have parents who are accepting of it, even if one of them, I don't know if she fully understands it. And I'm very lucky to live in a country where same-sex relationships are accepted by most. You know, there's still some dangerous people out there, but as a whole the UK is certainly more safe than other countries for non-straight people and for transgender people. I'm the kind of person, when I have a dip, I want the thing like smothered in the dip. They say bisexuals are greedy, and just now I'm living the stereotype. I don't feel really full. I think I have eaten a lot, but it's all been, you know, vegetables. I think there's definitely a different feeling between being full of unhealthy food and being full of healthy food. Like, it feels a lot better when you've got a full stomach full of healthy food than, I don't know, like a burger and chips. Or fries for the Americans. I think I'm almost done. Just got this last pita bed left, and my last little radish, which I'm saving for last. I'm gonna start and finish with the radish. If you want to share your coming out story down below, whether, I was going to say if you've got one that's interesting, but whether or not it was interesting, you know, let me know in the comments how you came out to your parents or whoever, or your friends or workmates or whatever. Or if you've done a video on it yourself, let me know where that video's at. It's lovely to hear nice stories. Obviously it's, you know, it's very upsetting to hear stories that didn't go so well. It kind of reminds us that we have come a long way, but there's still a way to go in terms of LGBT acceptance. So I hope that everyone watching is in a situation where they're free to express their sexuality and go about their daily lives, and that your family and friends are accepting. And if not, then, you know, I hope things get better for you. Right, so this is the last little morsel, my last radish. I do have more radishes. I've not just had these 3, but there was only so many, so I didn't want to use them all up just for the mukbang. So yes, anyway, this is the last one I'm eating at the moment. So there you go. Smothered in hummus. Wait for that crunch. That was a nice one. It was less woody and it had more flavour. Yeah. Next time I won't leave them in the ground so long. Anyway, look at that. My lipstick is held up surprisingly well. Doesn't look perfect, but it's still on there. So as always, thanks so much for watching. If you do like this video, give it a like, give it a comment and subscribe for more content like this in the future. And again, if you would like the recipe for the sun-dried tomato hummus, that is coming out next week. And I'll put the link to that down below when it is out. So look forward to that. But for now, cheery bye.